Good afternoon, everyone. Let me ask you all something. Have you ever noticed how our body whispers before it screams? A restless night, a tight chest, or long hours of fatigue, sometimes without a clear medical reason. We often tend to ignore such whispers until they demand our attention. Today, we live in a world which is most medically advanced in the era of history. Yet, experiences of anxiety, burning out, panic, stress is rising across the globe. Now, the question is not whether we have enough medicines. The question is, are we ignoring the inner intelligence of the human system itself in how it communicates with us? I refer to this innate intelligence as Antar Chikitsa, inner medicine. And by inner medicine, I mean awareness and self-understanding and not medical treatment. This idea is not about rejecting modern medicine. This is not positioned against science. Instead, it draws our attention into something very important. The body has systems that respond and adapt to changing conditions. Healing in this sense is not something that we force onto the body. It refers to creating conditions that allow body's natural regulatory processes to function more effectively. Here is something that many of us not fully notice in our daily life, that a large part of our emotional mental processing happens outside the conscious awareness. And these automated processes influence how we respond to stress, how alert or relaxed we are, and how the body prioritizes its resources. Now, contemporary understanding of brain function suggests that human system adapts over time to repetitive experiences and emotional states. Now, when stress becomes frequent and prolonged, body may remain in a heightened state of alert. In such conditions, body prioritizes protection, and processes associated with resonance and long-term balance often becomes a secondary role. From this perspective, awareness on internal state becomes important. When the body is not constantly responding to perceived threat, it is better able to settle into a more balanced state. This is not a philosophical idea. It reflects how the human system functions in response to its environment. So, let's take a moment to reflect. How many of us genuinely feel safe inside our bodies today? Safe enough to rest without guilt, safe enough to relax without stress, and safe enough to just allow the body to settle. When this sense of internal safety itself is missing, external solutions, no matter how advanced, may not support lasting well-being. Because lasting well-being is not something we demand from the body. It is something that emerges more easily when conditions allow. For a long time, emotions were treated as experiences that happened just in the mind, separate from the body. Today, this separation itself is being increasingly questioned. There is a growing understanding that emotional experiences and physical responses are closely connected. What we feel internally is often reflected in changes in the way we breathe, our postures, our tension, and overall physiological state. From the body's perspective, prolonged emotional strain can feel similar to an ongoing external pressure. The system responds by staying alert, by preparing for a challenge, and conserving resources. Approaches that emphasize awareness and emotional processing draw attention to this very connection. By acknowledging emotional experiences rather than suppressing them, an individual may begin to create internal conditions that feel more coherent and stable. This shift is not about eliminating emotions. It is about allowing the body and the mind to move back towards balance. For much of modern history, the human body has been viewed primarily as collection of separate parts. Increasingly, it is being understood as an integrated system, one in which different processes are continuously influencing each other. Changes in thoughts, emotions, attention often correspond with changes in breathing, in postures, in overall state. The body is constantly responding, adjusting and seeking balance based on both internal and external conditions. Many traditional knowledge systems recognize this interconnectedness through observation, long before it could be described in modern terms. Today, contemporary perspectives are gradually returning to more holistic understanding of how human systems function together. This does not require belief. It invites awareness. When we begin to see body as a responsive system, rather than something to control, to override, our way of relating to our own experience of well-being begins to shift from force to cooperation. Across different cultures, disciplines, and time periods, a similar theme often emerges. When people learn to pay attention to their inner state, the way they relate with their physical health or the way they relate with their health itself shifts. The way they relate to their own experiences shifts. This may not show up as a dramatic shift. This might show up as a subtle shift. For instance, a shift in an individual as to how he responds to stress, how he reacts to emotions, or how they experience moments of clarity and balance in their everyday life. Rather than viewing the body as something that needs constant fixing, this perspective encourages listening, self-awareness, and cooperation with body's natural tendencies. These observations are increasingly echoed across diverse fields that explore connection between mind, body, and lived experience. While the language may differ, a common theme appears. Attention to internal regulation may shape how people describe and make sense of their experience of well-being. We are living in a time of constant acceleration, more and more information, more and more stimulation, and fewer moments to pause and reflect. Many aspects of modern life encourage us to stay externally focused, moving quickly from one task to another. In this process, attention to our internal experience or our inner experience often becomes secondary. We invest heavily in improving technology, in productivity, in performance, yet rarely pause to consider how we relate with our own internal state. What perspectives like Antar Chikitsa offer is a simple but important shift. The reminder that well-being is not only something we manage from the outside, but something we participate from within. It invites us to move from reacting automatically to becoming more aware, from constant doing to occasional listening. In a world that rarely slows down, this capacity to pause and reconnect with ourselves may be more relevant than ever. I'll leave you with this thought. The future of healthcare will not be shaped only by new technologies or advanced treatments. It will also be shaped by how deeply we understand ourselves. Each of us can develop greater capacity for balance, for adaptability, for resilience. When we learn to notice it and work with it, our relationship with health begins to change. Well-being then is not something that we chase. It is something we create space for. That is Antar Chikitsa. A reminder that the journey toward balance begins within. Thank you very much.